those and joining us here today. We'll send all the attendees a link to the recording in the next couple days. The session will last about a half an hour, after which we'll be taking some questions for about 5 minutes. So again, feel free to post any questions you have throughout the presentation in the chat box on the toolbar below. And with that being said, we can go ahead and get started.
Evan, relevant questions, Evan. Not any question. Relevant.
No questions so far. Perfect.
Okay.
Conveying the message clearly. So just to quickly introduce myself, my name is Evan Ufkes, and I work here with the business development team at Connixt. And most of you may already know Prabu, our CTO and co-founder here at Connixt. Now, today is, I would say, a bit of an unusual, my apologies. Today is a bit of an unusual webinar. We usually talk about what we are doing, and this one is more about the why and the question of why we do what we do. Sort of talking about the DNA of Connixt and exploring the dynamics of our open architecture capabilities. Just to quickly summarize our agenda for today's webinar, we will begin with the background of open architecture and what it means for us and our customers. From there, we will explore why we choose to be open. Next, we will dive into the Connixt data model. Within this area, we will examine both the pitfalls and of an opinionated data model, as well as the benefits of iMarq being open. Following this section, we will move into the Connixt API. We'll talk about extensibility, as well as our integrational possibilities. And then finally, we'll wrap up with the Connixt roadmap to get a glimpse of where we're headed. So Prabu, please, if you don't mind taking over here, go for it.
Thanks, Evan. Hi, meeting you. Nice meeting you all. Prabu Ekambaram, co-founder and CTO at Connixt. Before even getting into the open architecture, right? I'm originally a mechanical engineer, worked for a leading truck manufacturing company, and still love the smell of diesel. Was in R&D and landed up getting into SAP's world, and then here I am talking about Connixt after what 25 years, 30 years of experience in this field. Now, having said that, open architecture itself, right? What is open architecture, or why we chose open architecture, which we are going to talk through this presentation. But having said that, easy to add a functionality and easy to connect with external world. Those are all the two things that we emphasize when it comes to our open architecture. Our product is modular, configurable, and using standard APIs, right? So having said that, from the iMarq as a product itself, right? It's a cloud mobile solution that sits in the middle, which connects your field workforce and your back office. Back office can be our own website or your system of choice, which is your EAM systems. So what we do is we connect the operations that are done in the field and push it into your backend system, your system of choice. Now, with that in mind, we made sure that our architecture, we go with an open architecture, which is not open source. Again, I want to reemphasize that. It's not open source, but it's an open architecture, which is modular in nature, configurable in nature, which is easy to integrate to any backend system and also extend the product with additional modules and functionalities. Now, how we do that? By reducing the overhead, which is right there on the slide, and development time, because the product is configurable, reuse components and modules as much as possible, and coexist in the existing environment. Because when we go and talk to our customers, right, they have their own environment. They have invested millions of dollars in coming up with their EAM system. We don't want to rock that boat. We don't want to change their environment, but we go and extend their environment in such a way that we digitize all their field processes and then try to push in the data back into the EAM system. So having said that, overall, we would like to coexist in the existing environment. And also, end of the day, cost to customer is low. That's the key here. They have good return on investment by using our product. At the same time, the implementation goes through seamless.
Extremely well said, Prabu. So the real question is, why go open?
Yeah, like we touched upon these pointers earlier, it's flexible because the product is completely configurable at both ends. When I say at both ends, I go back to our topology, right? We sit in the middle, we connect your field workforce and backend office, right? Now, when it comes to field workforce operations, anything and everything is configurable for collecting data from their workshops, from their field work, anything that they perform, it's configurable. On the other end of the spectrum, which is connecting to an EAM system, we have standard set of APIs through which we will be able to connect with an existing environment. Having said that, like I mentioned earlier, we try to reuse as much as possible the components and also scale, the product is scalable for faster deployment. In the end, we would like to be ERP or EAM agnostic, telematics agnostic, IoT agnostic, and we are also getting into AI platforms where we can connect with multiple systems out there. So having said that, this again goes back to what I mentioned earlier, coexisting with an existing environment and extending the customer's environment. Now, having said that, let's get into the goal of this Connixt data model itself, right? Built to scale, right? Or built for scale. Now, the key here is more customers right from the beginning. When myself and Satish met, in fact, we sat in a Starbucks and we were talking about it. So right from the beginning, we made sure that the more customers should not lead to more resources, so that the product is scalable, configurable, so that it runs like WhatsApp or Facebook. It's not apples to apples, but still we want our product to be simple and easy to use. The next is we emphasize on your business process. We don't come and say, hey, my product does this, so you have to change your process to go ahead and adapt my product. So we are not going to say that. We are going to say, hey, tell us what process you are following as of now. We try to optimize the process if there is a space to optimize. Having said that, we try to adapt your business process and then implement our product. This we achieve through our open architecture by configurable front end and also API based backend, right? Which leads to the next one, which is easy to integrate. Now, when it comes to easy to integrate, right, I want to emphasize on this. We can connect with more than one systems at any given point of time. We have a set of out of the box adapters which we connect with your EAM systems. You can visit our website to go over it. But to cut the long story short, our whole integration platform is configurable with parsers, with APIs, REST APIs, and things like that, so that the integration to your backend system becomes easier. Now, having said that, your data is sitting in the cloud, right? It is with us. Your data is your data, right? It is available everywhere based on how you choose to be. We have our own standard APIs again. It goes back to our open architecture that we are talking here, where we have our own standard APIs using which you can use the data, utilize the data for analytics purposes. We have our own analytics platform, but at the same time, if you are using, say, Power BI for your analytics purposes, you can access your data using our standard APIs. And also it is secure. When I say secure, each and every call that is made into our environment is authorization and role-based. Authentication and authorization is always there in each and every call. We have built our APIs in such a way that each and every call goes through these layers and then hits our data itself. Now, having said that, again, the overall goal here is product is easy to use, product is easy to implement, the cost to customer is low. That's the key, and that's the reason why we basically selected this data model, and we also selected open architecture. And also being a product company, right? Sitting in the middle, when we go to our customers, each and every customer is going to use or going to have their own EAM system. So again, it goes back to we being ERP or EAM agnostic. Evan?
So that, I mean, that brings us into the challenge, with these opinionated data models. Would you mind speaking to that a little bit?
Yeah, we kind of touched upon this in the earlier slide itself. Your business must adapt to resultant software design, right? I touched upon that in the very beginning, where we work with your own process. We don't dictate this is what you need to do because my product or our product does only things in certain way, right? We don't dictate that. We adapt because the product is configurable, because it is open to connect to any environment out there. It is we basically adapt to your business processes and your way of doing business. Training, right? The product is so simple and easy to use. There is not much training needed when it comes to our product. We emphasize on that because we are talking thousands of users or hundreds of users given for any organization size, right? So we want to emphasize on that, and also development overheads. Again, it goes back to product company, right? We don't want to have more development resources based on our number of customers. So we try to reduce that too. So in a nutshell, again, it goes back to being effective, simple and easy to use, and low cost. Evan?
Love it. Love it. So I would say if there's one question that I continually address, being in my role with everyone I speak with, it's how does iMarq make life easier for your crew?
Or does it make life easier for the crew, right? Yes,
Right.
it does. It does. You can talk to our customers. They will talk about it. Now, how this architectural approach or this way of configurability makes the life of the crew to be easier, it's transparent. It's non-invasive. That's the key there. The end user will not even know what is happening in the background, but it provides enough information for he or she to do the task on a day-to-day basis. Like, for example, say they are doing a maintenance task. They are working on a specific truck. We make sure that that specific individual gets all the information related to that truck that he needs to perform, or that helps in him performing that specific task, right? So it is seamless. It is non-invasive. Again, the end user, the crew will be clicking on certain buttons and that's it. All the thing happens in the background. We go grab the information from multiple systems and show it to the user so that he has all the information that he needs. So how we make the life of the crew easier? By being non-invasive, by being non-invasive at a level where the end user doesn't even need to know. All that he needs is a tablet that he needs to work with. That's it. That's all. Tablet or a phone that he needs to work with. So so that's how we achieve it. In fact, I would like to touch upon one thing. My hobby is watching a lot of movies, and I have interest in watching movies, right? How you can tell there is the art director of that movie is a best art director? Only if you know the set they have made, right? It's not when you see the movie, you should not feel that it's a set. You should feel that, hey, it's happening in the real world, right? So like that, when a technician is using our product, he will not even know the complications that is happening in the background, but from his or her perspective, they will have enough data in their hands to perform their task.
I really like that part about the seamless transfer of data between systems. I mean, aside from that, I see multiple benefits, that stem from that exact foundation. And firstly, being a faster deployment, our goal as as developers and people that are helping these customers of ours is to get their crews using the app effectively doing their jobs within the first 4 weeks. I think this timing is absolutely critical to understand, where we can identify efficiencies within those processes. but also boost that user adoption. And I feel like you'll likely hear it, from the crew first that's using iMarq, along with all of the native features like the camera, the microphone, the GPS capabilities that really are built in there to simplify their tasks and allow more time for other projects or other time on tools, right? And these features will also really enrich that data being recorded within those tasks. So again, the seamless use from system to system, but also within the mobile device itself, really comes together well. We also enforce, like you mentioned, security and that data validation to, ensure those tasks are being done correctly, but also safely, within that safe cloud environment. And then lastly, iMarq is really built for scalability. I know you touched on this several times, but I talk with numerous customers about where they started with iMarq and where they are currently. And I'll tell you, once iMarq starts serving one part of their business or operations, they're likely soon to find that other areas it can be applied to, that it's going to seriously help and step in.
And just to reemphasize on the first one, right, your process can be digitized in 4 weeks. The key there is again open architecture. It goes back to the topic that we are discussing today, configurability of the product. It's 100% configurable. And we are very proud of it, doing it that way. And now when it comes to enforcing security also, we always track who did what, when, where. That's always there. Each user will have their own user ID and password. We support single sign-on, and all these, connectivity to the external systems is made possible by our open architecture.
So if you don't mind talking about the iMarq API here, I think this is really where the connection is built and governed between those systems.
Yes. So to start with, right from early on, right, any communication that happens, again, to start with, going back to how the product is laid out, it's a cloud mobile solution. Our business objects and business logic sits in the middle, hosted out of Microsoft Azure, and there is a iMarq mobile app that accesses the cloud, and the EAM system can access the cloud. So we sit in the middle also, right? Now we call it as mobile extension framework. So any communication that happens either to a mobile device or to a backend system right from day one wire through APIs, REST APIs, and we even have SOAP web services. I know for some of them it could be old, but we deal with customers who have homegrown systems and things like that. So we even support SOAP web services and REST APIs, JSON objects. So right from day one, it was API driven. Access all the data in the backend system seamlessly. This is again having enough hookups in our system so that we can coexist and connect to multiple systems at any given point of time, which also goes back to integrating with EAMs, AMS, ERP, and even proprietary applications. Right? When it comes to integration to the backend system, we have customers in all spectrum where if your EAM system has a set of APIs, a middleware layer, we can work with that API by leveraging whatever that is available with the EAM system itself. The next level is if an EAM system does not have an API, or if the customer doesn't want us to touch their API layer or their EAM, we have our own set of REST APIs using which you can push and pull data with our system. Again, standard REST APIs with JSON object. Now, the third is homegrown systems, right? If there is a EAM out there, which could be an homegrown system or an EAM system that does not have an API layer, as long as we have access to that database, as long as the customer provides the access to that environment, we are capable of creating an adapter layer so that it gets connected with our cloud environment. And I don't want to name any customers here, but we have examples on all these scenarios, working with customers where we creating an adapter for them, or working with a layer that is already available, or customer working with our API layer that is out of the box, that is available. And like I mentioned earlier, It is hosted and run out of Microsoft Azure. We support single sign-on. So single sign-on in the sense where authentication, like ADFS or Masabi, or as long as there is an API available for us to talk to, we will be able to work with that system. Again, goes back to the open architecture, API-driven open architecture.
I see we have a couple questions here if we can address them really fast.
Sure.
There's a question coming in, says that our architecture has a significant impact on implementation timelines. Can you speak to that a bit more?
Yes. This again goes back to integration through the standard APIs and configurability, right? We talked about seeing your process within 4 weeks. We can implement your process within 4 weeks, right? Because our both ends are configurable and it's all API driven. We can the implementation timeline goes into 4 weeks or 6 weeks or 8 weeks based on the complexity of the process. Again, I'll be very candid here. If there is a system out there which does not have a middleware layer to talk, if we land up creating it based on the complexity, it may add some couple weeks, 2-3 weeks to the project timeline. But again, because the product is configurable from our scope of things, implementation timeline is so low. In fact, there is one customer which we made them live in 5 weeks, actually, with some with the DOT inspections and things like that. We made them live within 5 weeks. Again, configurability plays a vital role here.
Of course, of course. Another question here that says enterprise systems integration is a bit of a challenge for their business. They use a legacy environment with minimal capabilities. Can we really accomplish integration with any system, including that one?
Yes, we have done that. The reason why we say why you hear a confident yes there is because we have done that before. If again, like I mentioned earlier, if there is a homegrown system, as long as we have access to that data, to that database, to that environment, we will be able to develop a layer for your environment and then expose it to the outside world. Again, once you allow access, we will go through the standard processes like creating REST APIs, only access data through stored procedures. I don't want to go too technical, but at the same time, I just want to let you know that we will follow all the best practices and we will be able to connect any system out there. And especially if an EAM has a middleware layer, it's a no-brainer. Just use their APIs and we will be able to connect with that EAM systems. Out of the box, SAP, Oracle, Trapeze, Trimble, all these systems, we have out of the box adapters which can talk to the system directly, Maximo's, right? All these systems. But again, like the question, if there is a homegrown system, if there is a proprietary system, as long as we have access to that environment, we will be able to come up with an adapter for you. Evan, I hope that answered the question, right? Yeah.
I believe so. And then there's one more here coming in. Is there a fundamental difference in architecture between, what we offer and, for instance, another EAM? Maybe I'm kind of blanking on some specific third-party EAMs at the moment, but is there a fundamental difference?
Yes, there is. It goes back to our DNA, right? See, to start with, we are our DNA is a cloud mobile product. We do product for digitizing the field tasks, right? So we emphasize on that. We are geared to emphasize what the mechanic and technicians do in the field. So again, to start with, our apps are native apps, right? It is driven for iOS and Android, smartphones and tablets. That itself, the user experience is far, far better when it compared to other products. But having said that, fundamentally, we are geared towards end users and cloud mobile. On top of it, we are ERP agnostic. When I say ERP agnostic, it goes back to what we talked earlier, right? Set of APIs. And when we say ERP agnostic, we can connect with more than one system at any given point of time. How we can achieve that? Through our APIs. through configurations, through communication ports, through parsers and things like that. But having said that, what is the use case, right? Let's also talk about a little bit of use case, right? So say they are performing a task that is based on a work order, and they also have a system for time management. We as a product who collects data from the field, we collect that maintenance task related data and also the time consumed associated with those tasks, and then store it in our cloud. And when we communicate to your backend system, we communicate to both your systems. Like the maintenance task related information goes into your EAM system. If you use time management system, we can post the time management system to your or time management data to your time management system. So we can connect to more than one system at any given point of time, and we can also pull data from more than one system. An EAM system or EAM based software cannot do that, or even if it has to be done, there will be a lot of implementation that's going to happen. So having said that, we can also pull data from multiple systems because our architecture is basically open. Now, last but not the least, I should tell you this. We can work with what the enterprise system provides in their own format. Not only that, we can handle more than what an EAM can handle. Let's take an example, right? There is a specific asset. As a company, you have to collect like 100 different characteristics for that specific asset, but your EAM can only store 50 of them. What happens to the rest 50? We can store it. You can run reports and analytics in our system. We can generate PDF reports in your own format and push it into your EAM system. So essentially, we can handle more than what an EAM can handle. This goes back to working with your own process. We don't ask you to change your process. We adapt your process and implement it.
Perfect. And one quick question coming in lastly here is the data transfer live? Or can you talk about if there's a time delay in the push in transferring information?
That's a good one, right? Again, it goes back to configurability of the product. Now, based on the sensitivity of the transaction, you can configure our system to be either real-time or asynchronous. Like, for example, say they are performing a maintenance task, right? Whatever the result of that maintenance task getting pushed into an EAM system can go in an asynchronous way because it's going to go back and update a work order. Whereas while doing the maintenance task itself, say they are consuming parts, a user wants to know, do I have the parts in my inventory? That will be real time because he needs to know whether a part is available or not. So depending on the sensitivity of the transaction or nature of the transaction, it can be either batch mode or asynchronous or real time.
So even the data transfer itself is configurable.
Yes.
Essentially.
Yes.
Perfect. So just moving on, here's a quick screenshot of our current partnerships. Again, these are win-win partnerships for our joint customers. I know a lot of people out here are familiar with some of these companies, but if you want to speak to any of these, please.
Oh, yeah. See, when it comes to some of these products, right? I don't want to again name them. Some of these products have an extensive set of REST APIs using which we are pushing and pulling data. When it comes to these telematic devices, right? Geotab, Samsara, and GoMotive, right? That's Motive there, right? So those three, we even automate PM work orders. There is a common framework. It goes back to open architecture, set of APIs. There is a common framework that we have come up where you configure our system to connect to these multiple environments out there and then grab the data for that asset. Like, for example, during our demo, that's always interesting when we show. We have three assets. One goes to Geotab, one goes to Samsara, one goes to GoMotive, right? We are capable of connecting with multiple telematics platforms under one single host. It may not be the case in a real life scenario, but that shows the flexibility of our product, right? So we can connect with more than one system under a single host at any point in time. Similarly, take Trimble or Maximo, SAP, all these environments, we use their standard APIs. They have not customized anything on their side. We have worked with their own APIs, and we are able to push and pull data into these EAM systems. In fact, MTA is not listed here, but for customers like MTA, we developed our own adapters for them. So to cut the long story short, yes, we are working on expanding this partnership footprint also by connecting with additional telematic devices. And also, in a moment, we will also go through the roadmap. We are extending our product to connect to this AI platforms out there.
Which brings us right to that. So please,
Okay.
go for it.
Now, again, we touched upon this, roadmap itself in our earlier webinar when myself and Satish were talking. But we started with digitizing, which is in the past, right? And then the present is basically adding additional modules, and then our apps being built to scale and all those things. But I want to emphasize on the future, right? We are planning to expand into other verticals, which is healthcare, energy, and insurance. Right now, we have transit, utility, construction, and trucking, logistics, right? So we do are playing a role in those verticals, but we are planning to extend. Now, how we can extend into all these other verticals with minimalistic change to the product itself through configurations, we are able to extend our product even to new verticals. We are very proud of this, where our product is a single code base that is used across verticals even today. Trucking companies, transit companies, utility customers, and some construction companies too. They use one single code base, one single product for all their maintenance needs, because the product is configurable, and we are system agnostic, ERP agnostic, environment agnostic, and device agnostic. We support both iOS and Android. So that is when it comes to extending into other verticals. And we are also planning to add modules for procurement and scheduling. When it comes to procurement, not on a typical procurement basis, but for parts, right? We talked about that. Right now, we are allowing our mechanics and technicians to go over how many parts is available, looking over the inventory, and then consuming those parts, right? Now, next is we are planning to expand or introduce a module for procuring those parts and automating the procurement through AI platforms. In fact, there are like 5, 6 different use cases that we have identified, using which we are going to basically expand our footprint and play a role into AI itself. Now, when it comes to AI, right, artificial intelligence, I want to go back to our design philosophy itself. This again, I have talked many times through LinkedIn. I have talked many times to our customers. We don't do anything in our product. Sorry, we don't do anything in our product for the sake of technology. We never do that unless there is a value add, there is a use case, there is sense in adding that technology to our product. We will go ahead and add it. Otherwise, no, we never add anything for the sake of technology. That is the reason why when everybody was talking about AI, we were working on real-time use cases using which our product can benefit, and then get into the AI platform itself. And right now we have started working on it. The use cases, I'll just touch upon this again. Failure pattern-based alerts. You can ask our app, talk to the app and ask, hey, how to do this specific maintenance task, and translation, speech to text, parts ordering, like I mentioned earlier, and also work instructions automation. So these are all some of the use cases that we have identified when it comes to implementing AI platform into our product itself. Now, having said that, all these things that we are doing, because our architecture is open, there are enough hookups in the product, it becomes easier for us. When I say easier, there is not much change to our base framework itself. With minor modifications, we are able to extend into all these additional modules, platforms, and verticals.
Perfect. Thanks, Prabu. I appreciate that.
Sure.
So again, I'll just quickly touch on this. And what does this all boil down to? Our solution is, in my opinion, it's designed to make life easier for your crew. Yes, the tech is great, but really that's not the point. We aim to create more efficiencies and better results within your operations. High user adoption is a great way to measure its success, and we really achieve this by, ultimately coexisting and being non-invasive, and all the things that you've touched on throughout this webinar. And thank you again for going into detail on all of those things.
Sure.
So with that being said, I'm just going to leave it open for questions. If you have anything, please feel free to throw it in the chat box and we can address them right now.
Or if you want to talk to us, talk to Evan.
Yes, of course. I will make myself available to anyone and everyone who's on today. And if anyone has any further questions, please feel free to reach out. Again, a copy of this webinar will go out to all the attendees, so you'll be able to review everything that we've talked about today. But if there's anything specific that you have questions on that we can address, please, again, feel free to reach out to me. I'll be happy to hop on a call if necessary, or email correspond back and forth if that's the way you prefer to do it. Perfect. Looks like we may have, I think we addressed all the questions in the box here.
Oh, I see a question come up. Isn't native apps a higher overhead? There is some question out there related to that native apps. Yeah. Okay. So the question is, is it an overhead to have native apps? Yes. As a product company, yes, we do have an extra overhead because we have to maintain two versions of the product, same code base when it comes to our business logics. But yes, we have to maintain. But I want to emphasize on this: user experience and adoption rate. Those are all the key aspects for us, right? Which we touched upon earlier. So having native apps helps us a lot to achieve that. So we never want to go back to any other way of doing apps based on these things that we hear from our customers. Like, for example, I talked about speech to text, right? That'll be a seamless transfer. Like you click on a mic icon there, you talk to the app, it'll type it in, for you. So that becomes seamless. Say there is a barcode, right? For a part number or an asset number, there is a barcode. You don't need to have an external device or extra device. You just scan the barcode and then it grabs it and then puts the value there. So that is basically a barcode scanning without any external devices, right? Native apps helps us to achieve that. Also, a map view, which is used by one of our customers. Like, say there are 10 tasks that needs to be performed by a user at any given point of time, right? As long as there is an address or a latitude and longitude associated with that specific set of tasks, we'll be able to put a pin in the map view and then show, hey, this is where the tasks are distributed, so that the user will know that's my current location, my closest job is there, so I'm going to get there and then go ahead and perform the task. So things like that are possible. So why native apps? There is a seamless transfer between the mapping software, between the speech-to-text SDK, barcode scanning SDK. So all these things happen seamlessly because our apps are native apps. So the benefits we get out of it overwhelms the overhead that we have on maintaining the native apps. That is one. And there are other questions too. Hold on. Yeah. There is no why Connixt, why not incumbent? And yeah, I think we kind of touched upon this earlier. Why Connixt, why not incumbent enterprise vendor, right? So yeah, again, like I told earlier, we can handle more than what an EAM can handle. We can connect to more than one system at any given point of time, and the product is configurable to start with. It's a true. I should not say true. Awesome user experience when it comes to our mobile apps. You don't need to, believe me, you can talk to our customers. They say that actually. So it's an awesome user experience. So once they start using our product, they don't want to go back to paper or any other product for that matter. Evan, if there are any other questions, we can cover those.
I think that's it. Unless anyone has anything left, please feel free to go in. And again, please reach out to me if you have anything further. But I just want to say thank you for your time and participation with us today. This was really fun for us to engage and talk about really where we're going and what we do best. For everyone watching, again, you're going to get a recording of this webinar via email, and it'll be hosted on our YouTube channel and our website as well. Please feel free to follow us on LinkedIn if you're not already, and subscribe to our newsletter to stay up to date with all the developments we have here at Connixt. And with that, I'd like to come to a close. Prabu, if there's anything else you would like to add?
No, I'm good. Thanks a lot. Nice meeting you all. Any questions, please reach out to us. Bye.
Thank you.